Saudi Arabia, the cradle of Islam, and housing the two holiest cities in the Islamic world, holds a revered position. With a cultural history dating back millennia, the country has recently unveiled astonishing revelations, leaving the scientific community astounded, ranging from UFO sightings to unexpected revelations linked to Moses. These findings possess the power to alter historical narratives. However, what prompts fear and uncertainty among scientists? Join us as we explore these startling discoveries that promise to keep you captivated. When we think of Saudi Arabia, our minds often go to Islam, Mecca, and Medina, with little association with Christianity or other religions. However, some recent suggestions propose that Mount Sinai is located in Saudi Arabia, backed by biblical references. This mountain carries significance in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, serving as a sacred site that attracts visitors globally seeking spiritual connection or following in Moses' footsteps. According to biblical accounts, Mount Sinai is where Moses and the Israelites received the Ten Commandments from God, forming the foundation of moral and religious teachings in Judaism and Christianity. The book of Exodus recounts God instructing Moses to ascend the mountain where the Ten Commandments were given on a stone tablet. Known as Jebel Musa in Arabic, meaning the Mountain of Moses, Christians view Mount Sinai as a symbol of the heavenly Mount Zion, where God resides with his people in glory. Jesus' Sermon on the Mount aligns with teachings urging Christians to live by the spirit of the law, connecting with divinity as if God is present among them. Bible stories also link Mount Sinai to the transfiguration of Jesus, where he transformed in the presence of Moses and Elijah. For Jews, Mount Sinai holds profound significance, serving as a sacred place where their unique connection with God is deeply rooted. It represents a spiritual and physical bond integral to Judaism, intertwining the divine with earthly existence and making teachings received at Mount Sinai directly applicable to Jews' daily lives. According to Jewish tradition, Mount Sinai is where Abraham considered sacrificing his son Isaac, adding a layer of historical and religious depth. Jews consider themselves God's chosen people, viewing the gift of the Torah and the responsibility it entails as proof of their chosen status. The encounter at Mount Sinai is seen as God's covenant, highlighting their obligation to follow the commandments. The book of Deuteronomy reinforces this covenant, with Moses urging the Israelites to adhere to the commandments. Mount Sinai, for Jews, symbolizes their identity and destiny as God's chosen people. In the Quran, it's mentioned that God spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai, providing him with the tablets of the Torah, forming the holy scriptures of Islam. These rules and commandments serve as a moral code, reflecting God's will for his people. The mountain symbolizes the intersection of humanity and divinity, emphasizing the connection between God and his people, and highlighting the theme of obedience and the importance of living according to his commands. In Islamic narratives, Moses received God's commendation for his patience and obedience, tasked with delivering a message to the Pharaoh and his people. This highlights God's grace shown when Moses returned to find the Israelites in sin, yet God, in mercy, summoned Moses again to provide a new set of laws. Christian teachings often use Mount Sinai as a symbol of the faith journey, pursuit of holiness, and the desire to draw closer to God. The mountain holds significant importance in each Abrahamic faith, though its exact location remains uncertain. While traditionally believed to be in Egypt, recent research suggests evidence placing Mount Sinai in Saudi Arabia. Considering the mount's significance to the three Abrahamic religions, let's explore its location. Traditionally, Mount Sinai was associated with Egypt, situated in the country's southwest near the Israel border and the Sinai Peninsula. This revered mountain, standing at approximately 2,285 meters above sea level, is considered the holiest site in Judaism. Notably, it hosts crucial religious sites including St. Catherine's Monastery and the Church of the Transfiguration. Located on the Sinai Peninsula in Egypt, St. Catherine's Monastery, founded in 527 AD by Emperor Justinian I, emerged in response to complaints of theft from hermit monks who settled in the area. Beyond its historical significance, the monastery boasts the world's oldest continuously operating library, housing ancient manuscripts dating back to the 4th century. The monastery's Byzantine architecture and extensive collection of icons contribute to its allure, attracting pilgrims seeking its beauty. Notably, it accommodates the Chapel of the Burning Bush, believed to be where God spoke to Moses. St. Catherine's Monastery is a crucial pilgrimage site for Christians worldwide. During the Fatimid Caliphate, a chapel was converted into a mosque, utilized by Muslims, until the Mamluk Sultanate in the 13th century, now reserved for special occasions. Under Ottoman rule, the mosque fell into disrepair until restoration in the early 20th century. The precise location of the mountain remains debated, with scholars suggesting various Middle East locations as potential sites of Mount Sinai based on biblical and historical studies. Charles T. Beeke, a British traveler and Bible scholar, sparked controversy in 1873 with a proposition regarding one of these suggested sites. Charles Beeke asserted Mount Sinai was a volcano in his pamphlet, Mount Sinai, a Volcano, contending that, despite lacking ash, the Bible described the mountain emitting smoke and fire. Speculating that Moses visited a mountain in northwest Arabia on his way back to Egypt from Midian, Beeke focused on Jabal an-Nur, the Mountain of Light, at the head of the Gulf of Aqaba. Upon visiting his predicted Mount Sinai, Beeke admitted his error regarding the volcanic theory, but maintained his location assessment, suggesting biblical references might relate to storms. Despite disagreement among scholars, some aligned with Beke's claims. Other scholars proposed varied locations, including Egypt, Jordan, or Israel. Unfortunately, Beke passed away after visiting Jabal an-Nur, preventing further exploration to validate his theory. Influential scholars Alois Musil and H. Philby supported Beke's idea that Mount Sinai is in Saudi Arabia. Musil extensively studied the region in the late 19th and 20th centuries, while Philby played a crucial role in Middle East intelligence and Britain's ties with Saudi Arabia. Both identified Jabal al-Manifa near Wadi al-Rab as the possible Mount Sinai location. Philby, in his book Arabian Highlands, confirmed Jabal al-Manifa as Mount Sinai during his 1952 visit, emphasizing revered mosque at its summit. He argued its suitability compared to proposed locations in Egypt and Jordan. In 1971, French scholar Jean Koenig suggested Halal Badr, a volcanic peak, as Mount Sinai in Saudi Arabia. His article, Sinaitic Itineraries in Arabia, built on Beeke, Musil, and Philby's work, providing extensive proof and arguments, though remaining controversial. Among the controversial figures, Ron Wyatt takes the crown for his widely known theory about Mount Sinai's location. Wyatt, an American researcher, believed the mountain was in Saudi Arabia, but identified Jebel al-Lawz, the Mountain of Almonds, northwest of Saudi Arabia, near the Jordanian border, above the Gulf of Aqaba, as the specific location. Wyatt, known for asserting discoveries like Noah's Ark, Sodom and Gomorrah, the Red Sea crossing, and the Ark of the Covenant, used these findings to support his claim about Mount Sinai. Wyatt's assumption hinged on his interpretation of Exodus 31, suggesting that since Moses tended Jethro's flocks, and Jethro was a Midianite priest, the mountain of God Moses encountered must be in the land of Midian. After claiming the Red Sea crossing discovery in Nuweiba in 1978, Wyatt concluded that the genuine Mount Sinai must be east of the miraculous crossing in western modern-day Saudi Arabia. Identifying Jabal al-Lawz as the most likely candidate due to its status as the highest peak in the western Saudi Arabian mountain range, Wyatt also claimed to discover archaeological evidence of a substantial encampment near the mountain believed to be the Israelites' camp before the Exodus. In his research, Wyatt found a large pile of granite rocks about a quarter of a mile from the mountain's base, featuring drawings of bulls, cows, and oxen. He concluded that this spot could be the significant altar of Israel, at the foot of Mount Sinai in Saudi Arabia, potentially linked to the Golden Calf story. Expanding on his discoveries, Wyatt pointed to the Red Sea, suggesting remnants of Pharaoh's chariots at the sea bottom facing Jabal al-Lawz, a blackened mountaintop symbolizing the fire of God, a substantial split rock resembling powerful water flow, 12 stone pillars below the mountain, and other findings, all believed to be connected to the Israelites' time at the foot of the mount or their departure. Despite Wyatt's assertions, numerous scholars contested his theory, raising concerns about his methods and the evidence presented, perpetuating ongoing controversy surrounding his work. Firstly, Ron Wyatt lacked formal archaeology training and employed crude, unsystematic methods as an amateur archaeologist. He didn't publish any peer-reviewed reports or papers, relying solely on spreading his findings based on personal opinions. Secondly, due to his unconventional methods, both secular and religious authorities took issue with him. Wyatt faced arrest and imprisonment by the Saudi Arabian government, accused of being an Israeli spy for trespassing and smuggling artifacts. Furthermore, some biblical scholars suggest that Apostle Paul's teachings to the Galatian Christians in Galatians chapter 4, verse 25, might indicate Mount Sinai was in Saudi Arabia, in Midian, seemingly supporting Wyatt's claims. However, this appears to be a misrepresentation because, in the actual text, Paul only mentions that Mount Sinai is in Arabia, not specifically Saudi Arabia. Scholars argue that the reference to Galatians supporting Mount Sinai being in Saudi Arabia makes sense only if Apostle Paul had a modern political map, which is unlikely. If Apostle Paul referred to a first-century Roman map, the landmass of Arabia encompassed the Arabian Peninsula, the Sinai Peninsula, and northern Egypt. The Arabian Peninsula, including Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, once had a lush environment in stark contrast to today's vast desert landscape. Scientific and historical evidence supports this claim. The Quran, revealed to Prophet Muhammad in the 7th century CE, describes various natural phenomena and Allah's creation, offering insights into the region's geography and climate. Ancient researchers like Herodotus, Josephus, and Eusebius also documented Saudi Arabia's features, portraying it as a land of mountains, valleys, rivers, forests, and spices, characterized by greenery and productivity. Examining historical writings and facts, fossil records reveal preserved remains or impressions of organisms, plants, and animals that once thrived in the area. These fossils indicate a large and diverse ecosystem, supported by rivers and lakes that sustained varied aquatic life. Fossils dating back 350,000 years or earlier, coupled with satellite imagery, suggest a wetter and greener climate in Saudi Arabia's past. Seahorse fossils found in shallow coastal waters further illustrate the country's historical vegetation and animal phases. Human fossils provide insight into the interaction and adaptations of humans with their environment. This understanding led to the Green Saudi Arabia theory, championed by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, emphasizing environmental initiatives such as emissions reduction, increased use of renewable energy, and the development of a circular economy. Geological records supporting the presence of water bodies and landforms, requiring a wetter climate form the foundation of this forward-looking environmental strategy. Some of these records appear in ancient river channels and lake basins. These are remnants of past watercourses and bodies of water that shaped and filled the landscape, pointing to historical rainfall supporting a hydrological cycle and a freshwater ecosystem. Scientists also examine the chemical composition and isotopic ratios of rocks and sediment. These traits reveal the minerals and elements comprising the Earth's solid materials, providing insights into the conditions of temperature, pressure, humidity, and salinity that affected their formation and alteration. This suggests that Saudi Arabia experienced different climate types and phases throughout its history. In addition to coral reefs and seagrass beds, scientists have identified stone structures referred to as gates in Saudi Arabia. These rectangular platforms, enclosed by low walls and connected by long walls, form courtyards located in volcanic fields north of Medina and other parts of the country. Discovered by amateur archaeologists led by Dr. Abdullah Al-Sadi in 2004, the gates surprised experts when revisited using Google Earth in 2008. They shared their findings with archaeologist Dr. David Kennedy, who specializes in studying stone structures in Arabia. His research, published in the Journal of Arabian Archaeology and Epigraphy, identified various stone structures from different periods, suggesting they might have been constructed by nomadic tribes following water and pasture. Availability dating back at least 2,000 years, possibly as far as 9,000 years. The discovery challenges perceptions of Saudi Arabia as a desert devoid of human impact, unveiling a new aspect of its ancient history and culture. Another surprising find involves 4,500-year-old roads with ancient tombs along them, known as funerary avenues. These abandoned pathways, connecting oases and pastures across the desert regions of northwest Saudi Arabia, cover vast distances with tombs, pendants or ring burials, flanking both sides. Researchers from the University of Western Australia discovered these tombs using aerial surveys, ground surveys, excavations, and satellite imagery. Approximately 80 tombs have been examined through radiocarbon dating and other methods dating back around 4,500 years ago, between 2600 and 2000 BC. The construction of these tombs, possibly by nomadic tribes, aligns with rainfall patterns and vegetation, providing insights into ancient human movements and settlement patterns in the region. These findings have revealed a different side of Saudi Arabia. Which aspect of these discoveries surprised you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments section.